Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest.
We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it?
He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War.
Art muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
You see it on the bridge. Wait, how they get it? If the government had to change the screw in the bridge, they had to shut it down. They got state troopers out there. They got lanes closed. They got their strange machines. How did they get up there?
What's good, what's good, what's good, people? Blessings, praise, glory, honor to the Most High. I hope all is well with each and every single one of you. It's good to be here. Good to see you. Good to be in good company again. Shout out to my writers, poets, content creators. You know who you are. Much love to you. Wednesday is winding down. There's a lot happening right now on news reports. Yeah, we got a lot to cover. A lot. I got something that I'm going to get off my chest tomorrow morning. Make sure you tap in. Yeah, I saw the story. Well, you saw it live. Most of you, if you're not familiar with it, I got you covered. Tonight, we got Miss Sydney in the building. You know what type of conversations we get into on Wednesdays. Grab a seat, grab you something to snack on. Like, share, let other people know that we are live. You dig? The new face of horror. The new face of horror. We're bending the corner. We're almost there. Tomorrow is the last day. I believe they're cutting people either tonight or tomorrow. They're cutting people. It's down to the top 15. So do me a solid. Make sure you tap in. Grab the link. Show your boy some love. Go vote. Miss Sydney, are you in the building? Talk to me.
Hello. Don't mind my wet hair. I just got back from the pool with my kids. So one of them's asleep and the other one's cranky. So If you hear him whining in the background, I apologize.
It's all good. Be bodacious. Blessings to you. I hope all is well. Appreciate you for tapping in, even if it's just for a second.
I like your outfit.
I had to switch it up today, from the normal wear.
I got earthquake shirt.
Oh, it's been a lot of earth-shattering events today.
That is for sure.
Yeah. I found the clip that you sent me. It's not the full video, but it's pretty much about the same. This one is like 5 minutes. Do you want to give like a segue into it before I bring it up on the screen, or would you prefer to just play the video first?
I think we should just play the video because I think it would be redundant for me to just explain it. But I don't want to get it wrong because I've been researching multiple ones and I don't remember which one the video is about.
Gotcha. All right. I'm gonna let this run all the way through. I'm not gonna interrupt it or stop it.
Exclusive investigation into a secret government experiment that was carried out in St. Louis. Residents tell us they still remember a mysterious fog. Children would run through it. Mothers would try and close their windows against it. For decades, they all had questions, and now we're seeking answers. The United States Army now admits that it sprayed a chemical that contained cadmium, a known carcinogen, on a neighborhood of more than 10. This was done with no warning and no consent. Well, tonight we return to the site of that demolished neighborhood and speak with former residents who believe the government turned them into human test subjects. Although the Army admits that the test happened, it is not admitted to harming the residents. News Nation's Natasha Zubez investigates what was in the fog and why the truth may still be buried.
The fog drifted through the streets like a ghost.
That's exactly what it looked like, a thick fog.
It was summertime, it was hot. We would just run through it as fast as we could and try to just cool ourselves off and stuck to it.
The spray was so foul as far as the odor. It made some of us have headaches, nausea, dizziness.
That's what I remember. It made me sick.
It wasn't the weather. It was an eerie smoke descending from rooftops, rolling from the backs of trucks.
Regular flatbed truck, but it had a big machine on the back, and it had a big nozzle that really sprayed a fog you couldn't even see through. It was that thick, and it really we felt it as it would adhere to our skin. And as far as the guys on top of the buildings, they tried to portray them to us as maintenance workers. But we was like, what is a maintenance worker doing? And basically a hazmat suit, and they had masks and goggles.
In the 1950s and 60s, in secret, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide into the air of a St. Louis housing project, a largely black neighborhood called Pruitt-Igoe.
It was a lose-lose situation for us in Pruitt-Igoe. We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
We're standing at where Pruitt-Igoe used to be here in St. Louis, and it's hard to believe more than 10,000 people used to live here. As we bring our drone up, you can see it's mostly just an empty lot now, overgrown with trees. This used to be filled with 33 high-rise buildings. It was all demolished in 1976. And according to the National Research Council, St. Louis was chosen for spraying experiments because it had similar characteristics to Soviet targets like Moscow in terms of population density and terrain and proximity to a river. The government now admits to a secretive series of Cold War tests, including one dubbed Large Area Coverage. More than 30 tests conducted across the U.S. and Canada.
spraying zinc cadmium sulfide from planes, rooftops, and vehicles to simulate how a biological attack might spread, all to prepare for potential warfare against the Soviets.
Many of us been in the military and had top secret clearances. We know how it works. We have died for America. We have fought for America.
You are a veteran.
I am United States Air Force veteran.
Dr. Starks, you're a veteran as well.
Yes, I am. I'm an Air Force veteran also.
Is there a sense of betrayal here?
Definitely. Definitely.
They want to know if those secret tests have anything to do with what they're observing with their own eyes.
I lost my 2 older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma.
I had cancer of the left kidney, had partial removal of my left kidney.
News Nation reached out to the Army for answers. They provided a one-page response. It says the Army's own Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine investigated in 1994 and found inhalation exposure would not pose a health risk. They also cite later corroborating reviews, including a 1997 review by the National Research Council. Perhaps they assumed we wouldn't read the NRC's 380-page report, but we did, and the Army's statement doesn't show the full picture. In that 1997 review, the National Research Council explicitly says repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide can cause kidney or bone toxicity or lung cancer if levels are high enough. And they admitted they couldn't fully assess the risk. Why? Because some Army records remain classified, it says, for national security reasons. More troubling, key Army exposure records were missing, and when the NRC asked the Army to supply them, the Army said it couldn't find them. Finally, the NRC considered conducting its own study, but concluded it wasn't feasible. In short, it did not test the site, collect samples, or test residents, and they didn't have access to all the data. Their review was based on what the Army gave them, and what the Army either could not find or withheld. The Army ends its statement to News Nation by saying, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component to the zinc cadmium sulfide dispersion tests. Residents say the secrecy and delays are no accident.
They're waiting us out.
They're waiting on all of us to die.
I'm not gonna lie, like this is like the first time being hip to it. But listening is like, wow. We are extremely, extremely evil people. Literally. The things that we do to our own is absolutely crazy to me, man. I don't even have a cap at this point. Nothing surprises me. It's just, all right. Now I'm like, it's just another day. Let's see what we can do to each other now. How can we out screw the other person now? Let's see how we can make a person sick now. Let's see how many innocent people we can kill now. What can we do to further show the rest of the world that we don't like you? We only need you for resources. We only need you to do the jobs that we aren't willing to do. Like, how much more do I need to witness for the rest of the world to wake up and really grasp how devilish a lot of our government is? I don't do the left, right, Republic, Democrat thing. That's not my field of expertise. I put everybody in the same category. Is that how can you have so much hatred in your heart for another soul? When this was brought to my attention, I already knew it was going to be bad. I didn't know how bad it was going to be. And then you start hearing these brothers talk about how they've been diagnosed with rare forms of cancers, and you hear these black men talking about how they serve the country and they put their life on the line for you and me, only to learn that there was a lot of backhanded behind the scenes things going on, specifically designed allegedly to kill off a population. I'm gonna turn it over to you because this is your pride and joy right here. Did it jog your memory a little bit?
Yeah, there's so many different examples that come to mind in regards to this situation. Like you said, I've gotten very desensitized. Like of course, I feel for the victims. I feel for everyone that has to go through all the suffering. Like, you would not believe some of the impacts that people have had to deal with as a result of some of these chemicals, toxins, heavy metals that they've been exposed to as a result of our government, and sometimes companies, private companies. There are so many different examples of cities, entire neighborhoods, individual people being tortured, mistreated, like without being told. And it was largely racialized. They largely selected people of certain demographics, if I'm sure we all know, and they would inject them with things and not tell them. People have been their reproductive organs have been removed without being told, even though they're being told they're having something else done. People have been exposed, like farmers have been given toxins that originally were used for war purposes, but they found out that it was effective for killing bugs as a pesticide. And so they gave it to farmers to use. And we had people that were picking the plants, that were handling the plants, that were eating the plants, that were now being tainted with these toxins. And some of them are extremely dangerous. I forgot what particular chemical it was, but there's an example that has stuck with me ever since I read it. I read the book when I was in my final year of high school, I believe. I cannot recommend Silent Spring enough. I know I've brought this book up before, but this is absolutely perfect for this situation because it is literally talking about this exact situation, talking about how the government, how corporations, how the military has had a history of poisoning us and doing tests on us with chemicals or accidentally releasing chemicals on us that have caused irreparable damage to people. It's caused cancers. It's caused deformation. It's caused birth defects. If anyone has ever heard of thalidomide, that was I believe it was a medication that was like anti-malarial or something like that, but it caused like horrific birth defects. Okay, it was a oral medication for cancer, leprosy, and skin diseases, but it caused extremely terrible looking and affecting malformations in the kids. But the pharmaceutical industry as well. Many of these wealthy groups that need test subjects will use the public. And I want to say that it was more in the past, but I really can't say because clearly there's still stuff going on. Obviously, I don't know how many people still remember or have heard of Flint, Michigan, but they had lead in the water and the officials knew, the authorities knew. They did nothing about it. They continued to do nothing about it, even though the citizens were reporting like a taste, like you could taste it in the water. It was starting to cause problems in citizens. Like they were starting to have health effects. I think the animals were even being affected by this. There were a whole bunch of signs, but the government kept saying like, "Oh no, it's not that bad. Just drink bottled water." Or like they kept giving excuses not to do anything about it. But yeah, that's just one of many examples. I'll get into them throughout the stream. I don't want to like bombard you right away, but yeah, this is a history. Like we have a history of this. And again, if you need examples, if you want to understand the history of this, and especially between like industrial era to like World War I, World War II, this is a great book. And in general, it's a great book anyways. This started the first environmental revolution in the 1960s. And I could not recommend it enough because it gives you a fantastic history on all of the impacts that we have done to ourselves and that we have on the environment. So I'll leave it there.
I'd be so pissed and so disappointed. I already am. But imagine you laying your life down for a group of people who didn't have any regard for yours at all anyway. You come home missing an arm, a leg, an eye. You hopping around the rest of your life. You can't afford to live nowhere. They don't want to give you a job. You would think that you would be first in line for that, but you're not. You get this big, grandiose welcome home, but then as soon as you get back over here on this dirt, this soil is rotten, it's spoiled, and all you're met with is condemnation. I'd be so pissed and hurt and broken. The level of mental strength that you would have to not feel defeated after everything that you've endured, the psychological mess that you have just taken upon yourself voluntarily. You got to take all of that from wherever you were in the world and then balance yourself out once you get back over here. And then you end up getting met with the politics and the policies and the crappy laws. And yeah, I'd be so pissed, so pissed. Does anything surprise? It's not even a trick question. Does anything surprise you anymore? It shouldn't.
I wish. Honestly, I feel like this is why I find myself hoping for like a super volcano or a massive earthquake, because I'm like, at this point I've seen it all. Like, do something else. I want something more interesting than political collapse and a second Great Depression and
right.
Yeah.
You said so.
Chaos.
Well, go ahead and let the volcano erupt. Fuck it. Just melt everything down, burn everything down. Y'all don't deserve it anyway.
I'm like, start over. Just delete it, refresh, start over. We don't. This was a mess up.
The only ones that would survive that, those the ones who got them underground bunkers, though.
Yeah, that's why I see a bunch of certain wealthy people buying huge properties out in the Midwest and putting like massive basements, like bunkers. I think a certain social media dude has like a 6-story bunker under his mansion on his like 1,000-acre property, and I think it's like Montana or something. But he started building it in like 2020 or 2022, something like that. And I was like, this person knows something. He knows something. These billionaires know more than they're letting on. And this is why all these anti-vax, anti-climate change people are still making decisions like this stuff is actually happening. This is why all of those politicians vaccinate their kids. This is why all of these politicians are secretly changing their properties' locations or adjusting their insurance policies, especially in their properties in Florida. These mega wealthy people know way more than most of us will ever realize. And I think that's problematic because I'm 100% sure they're getting away with a bunch that we have no idea about. I mean, considering the surveillance, the access to everything from our like medical records, all of the stuff about the inside of our body and our brains, and they possibly could even get our records from like therapists and stuff like that, especially if you have the apps, because those aren't exactly protected in the same way that a medical therapist is. You like anything you ever send to your friend, no matter if it's email, text, whatever, like it's going to be tracked. It's traceable. It like they can know who you are friends with, who you buy from, where you go, what you do, what memberships you have. Like, they literally could build a profile of who you are as a person just from your media usage. And all of these people individually have tremendous power, but together they form a network. Like, they were working together, no doubt. They are creating this network that's able to control every aspect of our lives, from food to our consumption of products, to our usage of media, to our communication. And a lot of these things are toxic, have toxins in them or on them, or in some way attract toxins to them. Plastics absorb toxins. Certain things can degrade and turn into hazardous toxins. Then, of course, we all know, like, the batteries that are so much better are exploding randomly just because they're catching fire, shooting off fireworks from your pocket. And those are just like the highly visible examples, but there are, like, they used, this wasn't exactly like a government thing, but like, we used lead paint for generations and generations, like, I'm pretty sure even Egyptians used lead paint. And we only recently banned it, I think, in the early 1900s or 1930s, but we've known about it for forever, but we've still used it. There's a lot of Tyrian purple is also the same way, I think. Or no, it's a cadmium red, something like that. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing. There are so many different chemicals that are on the market that were originally military tested chemicals or were derived from military tested stuff. A lot of our technology, a lot of our products were military things in the beginning. So yeah, I don't really know where I was going with this, but yeah, there's a lot of different toxins. I have a list that I'm gonna read off of, but I'm gonna stop here.
Okay. With the military aspect, I always looked at the military as diplomats. Like, your position was really just to create order, create a safe space, enforce law. You're like you're more of an upgraded version of the police. And you have more jurisdiction in different places. With that being said, to win certain wars or to engage in an aggressor or someone who is threatening bodily harm to your country or whatever the case may be, there are certain measures that have to be taken for it to even get to the extreme as to sending troops somewhere to risk their life. You have to have a conversation. You have to have a sit down with their government. You have a person that is representing this side and a person that's representing this side. If it doesn't go the way that either party would like it to go, then you take it further. And I'm only saying all of that to say this. You guys who are signing up for this, do you really know what you're signing up for? Do you like? I never really cared much for history. That wasn't my class. I was more of a biology, botany type of person. But the mental mind games and the things that you would have to do in order to succeed or successfully protect, assess the situation, annihilate the obstacle or the problem, like the brain power that has to go into this stuff is extremely important. You talk about chemicals and using different things to effectively combat a target or deal with something that is a possible threat. I never really paid much attention to like what it is they use other than missiles, guns, bombs, and like the basic stuff you see on TV. I've never really considered them using certain agents and blah 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 to go into these spaces and make people sick or whatever. But when you think about it, that is a smart way to go about it. But now that we're talking about this, was any of these wars really necessary? I mean, some of them, I'm gonna say, were probably necessary, not all of them. On top of that, what were some of the reasons why you would go about using any type of chemicals in regards to being like a unit? You're going into uncharted territory, Afghanistan, Israel. Like, how is it that you can use what you gonna do? Take a water gun and start squirting people with acid and all types of little like pee and shit like that? Like, what are we talking about here? Experimentation. Like, there's a lot of movies. There's a lot of movies that talk about experimentations on soldiers and stuff like that. And I used to think that was a joke. But the more and more if you really pay attention to these movies, there's a lot of truth in it. A lot of things that they describe in some of these films are based on real life situations. I'm curious.
I'm gonna say World War I was the first large-scale use of chemical warfare, and a lot of the gases that they used on people on the battlefield were some that people would probably know. Chlorine gas was one of them, and mustard gas is another. And another one called phosgene. The phosgene makes you choke. I think it burns your throat. Mustard gas burns your skin. And those are just some of them. There were other ones. I believe they used Agent Orange in Vietnam. Yeah, Vietnam. It was an herbicide that they dropped on people in Vietnam. think they used it to fight the mosquitoes. They also they sprayed it along railroads and power lines to control the undergrowth. They used over 20 million US gallons. This particular substance causes leukemia, lymphoma, cancer, and it also is linked to a bunch of other conditions. And that's just one. Agent Orange is also used in agriculture and has been responsible for poisoning people in the US. I think it was like the 50s or 60s that was going on. There also have been, across the US, military bases have contaminated groundwater and water and soil with PFAs, which are considered forever chemicals, because just like plastics, which PFAs can be found in plastics, it will basically last forever in the environment. They were used as a firefighting foam, and it contaminated the environment everywhere it was used, or washed away to. This one causes cancer and birth defects. There is a settlement, I believe, for exposure to that. There's another one, Camp Lejeune, which is also a settlement is ongoing for that one. Between the 1950s and the 1980s, drinking water at the Marine Corps base in Lejeune in North Carolina was contaminated with industrial solvents and toxic chemicals. Industrial solvents are meant to break down materials like oils or buildup of grime or rust or whatever. I don't know what it's usually used for, but it's basically meant to dissolve things that are really hard to get up off whatever you're trying to get it up off of. So if you can imagine what that would do in your body. And then they also, in 2021, there was a fuel leak in Oahu, Hawaii, and they contaminated the water supply for about 93,000 people. In 2009, a class action lawsuit was started for the Maryland's Fort Detrick, because there was also contamination issues for similar reasons to the other ones. There's another one I'm trying to find that happened in Ohio. There's a channel that I highly recommend called Status Coup. He covers a lot of these ongoing issues, and I like that he comes back to them, because a lot of these get forgotten. Like when people are directly affected, they'll want to do something about it. They'll be angry about it. But like with everything, disasters, shootings, whatever, as time goes by, fewer and fewer people care. So I like that he continues to bring these types of events to light, so we can keep talking about who is being affected. Palestine, Ohio. I think that one was a fire, an explosion, when a chemical train overturned, if I remember correctly. And that fire released fumes that spread out over a town. And let's see. Okay. A toxic train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. And wow, it so far has costed, so far as of 2024, go away ad, $800 million to clean up. They had 20 cars containing hazardous material, including one that had vinyl chloride, which, just so I get this correctly, I cannot spell chloride. That is, what do you do? Produce. It's used for, okay. It's a gas used to make PVC, a hard plastic resin. It can cause liver, brain, lung, and and blood cancers. It's also found in tobacco, smoke, and contaminated water. So in East Palestine, a massive train derailed. The pictures are quite spectacular in the not so good way. It burned, and all of those chemicals released in the smoke and in the fumes drifted over the town and caused all these health effects. And they didn't really do very much about it. I can't remember if it was this one or a different one, but I remember there was it was the one in Moss Landing. We talked about it like way back when it first happened. In Moss Landing, which is near Monterey, California, there was a fire at the refinery, I believe, and it was releasing smoke into the air, and it took 5 days or something like that to put out the fire. And in that time, people were getting sick, and the government had their officials come out and test the soil, and they basically touched the soil with their probe and was like, oh no, there's nothing, got back in their car and left. And the citizens were pissed. They were like, no. They got their own test and they tested, and it was I don't even know, 50 times the legal or safe limit of whatever it was. I don't remember exactly how much, but I remember it was quite substantially higher than it's normal. No, it's it's definitely not normal. We should not have to, it was triggering people's asthma attacks. It was causing asthma-like symptoms, even though they've never had asthma before. Some people had to go far away. There was one woman who had to drive 3 hours or 2 hours until she was able to feel some relief from the chemicals and stuff. And other people had to stay in hotels away from their homes. And these are just the visible incidents. I am more than certain there are hundreds of examples that I am missing or don't know of, or that we generally don't know of because it's still being pushed under the rug. It's ongoing, and a lot of the guilty parties are familiar names. One of the people that I frequently talk about and villainize, Monsanto, They are behind a lot of these chemicals. They are also behind a lot of the farmer bullying that is happening right now. And the like not subsidies. They've like stolen the rights to seeds. I'll have to do an episode on them. But yeah, there's some pretty nasty parties involved in these companies, and a lot of these companies are responsible for multiple events.
Yo, all that just to say, I'm speechless. I'm not speechless. I'm speechless. It's like, all right, y'all is dirty, man. Y'all dirty. Like I know a lot of y'all rotting in hell right now. I hate to say that. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I bet a lot of y'all are not in the most comfortable space. Just because you don't see it happening doesn't mean it's not happening. I wonder what the world will look like if everything that was deemed classified was released to the public. Like you just had access to everything. You couldn't politicize your way out of nothing. We just, type in www. such and such. Whatever you wanted to know about, it was right there. Because I'm sure that there would be some things in there that would even shock me. And I'm so used to what's happening now, it would take a lot. Like the names that will pop up on these sheets, the conversations, the back and forth, the text messages, the video footage, the documentation alone. Just like I wonder if people would believe in this Democrat Republican party crap then. Like I wonder sometimes if we even fighting for the right side. Sometimes, like, are we really even the United States anymore? Is it still
fighting for the animals?
I think the animals are the only ones that still are true to their nature. But then again, humans are being true to their nature too, technically. A lot of us just don't see it for what it really is. My heart goes out to the people who put their life on the line for us, and what they got in return was disease and illnesses, and a slap on the wrist, or like a handshake, and then they send you off into the world to figure it out. Like that's foul. That's extremely fucked up. Do you think any of this is like my closing remarks on my last question? Do you think any of this, as far as the military goes, is still being applied today? Or do you think they still do these type of things to people? Like experiment with their soldiers and stuff?
100%. Absolutely. Like pharmacies, scientific organizations, like under the table type organizations and the government. Like especially under this particular administration, I 100% believe it. And also, just a side fact to kind of point out how successful we've been with our chemical warfare. We have, since the 1950s, since the 1900 mark, killed off about 95 to 99% of bug species directly because of the chemicals we have used on them. And those chemicals have been used on us in war, and they have just been watered down and turned into safer sprays. Oh, I didn't actually finish telling the story. There was one story that stood out to me in silent spraying, which was what hooked me from the beginning, where a little child, he was probably like 2-ish, he walked into his dad's barn and he put his hand on an empty canister that held I think it was DDT, but it could have been something else. DDT is responsible for killing millions of birds. And so the child put their hand on the canister, and that was all it took. They died in a week just from touching the outside of the empty canister. And some of these things are still in cleaning supplies, pesticides, household products. Not in those dosages anymore, but it's still in there. So, yeah. I also do have a poem, but I'll let you finish what you were saying.
I just wanted to know, what your thoughts was. I believe it's still happening.
100%.
Yeah. I just wanted to know if I was tripping, because I tend to get, you're just being paranoid, or you're over exaggerating. Nah.
I don't know if it's necessarily like chemicals now. I think it would be more like pathogens, biological type of testing, or like injecting different things, like gene manipulation, that type of stuff. Like, I think it would be more like from a biological front now, but I also still would not put it past them, because they're inventing stuff all the time. Who knows? I would not put it past them, and I would hate to find out the hard way.
Nah, for real talk. But I'm gonna give you the floor. I'm gonna let you close this out. I want to give a shout out to everybody that pulled up today. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. I'm gonna let you close this out, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern. Same time, same place. But I'll give you the solo and let you do your thing.
Okay. So this is called Turnocine era, which, let me just remind myself what that means. This particular poem is about the chemical poisoning that we have undergone, and okay, internecine means destructive on both sides in a conflict, so that makes sense. So this is the era of both sides are destroying each other. So yeah. A black cloud slithers, unfortunately, across a sullen, silent sky. We see, we smell, we breathe. They don't care. Places of tender creation, set aside by the wise, marked for deletion. Places of peace, thrown into a cataclysm of raging torrents, traced by the touch of the seraphim, teased by beautiful azure blankets that suffocate those who sleep. Mother, turning paler as her very lungs fight to make sense of what's left. We are all that is left, and we still demand ever greater shares of her profits, stealing her future, or stealing the futures from the fragile and the blind. We are what is left, and they will take that too.
John DeMarco. That was COVID.
It references another example that I forgot to mention, which is like, I think one of the worst incidences. It wasn't in our country. I think it was in Venezuela or somewhere in like South America or something. But anyway, a neglected industrial facility had a bunch of fail-safes fail and released carbon dioxide gas into a city, and it killed like 30,000 people. And this was all because they failed to maintain all of these different components, and that ended up gassing people where they stood. So this is widespread. This is not an American problem. This is a widespread problem. This is the responsibility of big companies that do not care about us. They care about profits. They care about selling as much of their product as they can. And as I said in the poem, they do not care about us. They just want what we have. So we cannot let them continue to steal everything from us, including our lives.
You heard it, folks. Take what you will from that. Exceptional poem. I thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. This is a part of history that I hope ages well. You see the book. Check it out. Y'all have a blessed night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Drive safe. Do me a solid before you go.
Put the goddamn button back.
Peace. Da-da-da.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace, towards the Soviet Union, towards the course of the Cold War.
Art muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me.
You see it on the bridge. Wait, how they get it? If the government had to change the screw in the bridge, they had to shut it down. They got state troopers out there. They got lanes closed.